You have a new project you're working on, Animal Dreams?
I do, yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, the first single comes out on January 2nd. I actually started writing for the project November 2012, so it's been a really long time coming, and the songs are going to be old to me by the time the rest of the world hears them for the first time. And I'm actually taking a different approach to the release. Instead of putting the whole thing out into the world at once, I'm releasing a song a month for a year. But I'm super excited. I mean, this is the greatest thing that I've done so far, and I can't wait to hear everybody's responses to it.
How, does it represent sort of a natural evolution from what you've done before, or is this something completely different?
It does have more of a pop mentality as far as the song structure. Like, it's very structured in that way. But it's not too far of a departure from the sound that I have, because it's a particular sound that happens when Dylan Fant and I work together, and he's the engineer for the project, and I've done my last couple of projects. So you'll be able to hear that he's played a huge part in this project. So it's not too far of a departure, but it's also very different.
Tell me about the name, Animal Dreams.
Animal Dreams comes from the vivid dreams I had of animals and the wilderness during the time that I was writing for the project. Bears and foxes and deer and just everything. And they were symbolic to me. They meant different things about what was happening in my life at the time.
Is that represented in the music?
There are no animals mentioned in any of the songs, but the symbolism they had to me is.
Okay. And what's the first song you're releasing?
It's called Whiskey Sea, and it's actually going to be accompanied by the first official music video as well, that I filmed with Jason Tang.
Okay. And tell me about that song.
That song was the first song that I wrote back in November 2012 that I sent to Dylan when I asked him if he would do another album with me, and he said yes. So it was one of those songs that came really quickly, and I do often write quickly, but developing them sometimes takes a long time. But that one was front to back, almost entirely done the minute that I sat down to write it.
Okay. What was there a particular thing that inspired it?
Sure, it's a very dark song. I mean, it's called Whiskey Sea, and it is about struggling with an addiction at the time, and
okay.
Struggling to cope with things that were happening, and I didn't do a very good job of that.
And it found its way into your music.
It did.
Okay.
It's a very, very honest, true life song. Nothing's made up about what was happening in that song. Because sometimes songs are just for the sake of telling a story or getting a message across, something that's not necessarily factually true, but that song's very true.
Okay. Is that a consistent part of your music, do you think?
I think that there's always going to be a grain of truth in every song, whether the rest of it was fabricated to get the point across. But yeah, I think that I can't help but write about things that are happening to me.
Okay. And will that be consistent through Animal Dreams as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's my most honest project.
So tell me the process, because I know nothing about this. The giving birth to a new album, to a new song, how does that work with you?
Well, I'm always writing, and that doesn't necessarily look the same every day. Sometimes I'm washing the dishes and something pops into my head and I write it down, or sometimes I actually sit down in the morning with my guitar and try to write something. And generally my writing process changed with this project, actually, because I used to just sit down and hammer out a whole song and then send it to Dylan and see what he thought. But this time around I started using drum loops, and it really changed the songs. I used GarageBand, which I'd never done before, and it changed the way that I was playing the guitar and the way that my melodies came about, and just the general structuring of the songs. And I also just started sending one verse and one chorus to Dylan, and he's like, do you like this? Do you think I should develop it? Yes or no? And then I wouldn't spend the time writing out the whole thing if I didn't think that it was an idea that was worth fleshing out.
Okay.
So it was hundreds, over 200 songs that I sent Dylan in that structure of verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. Should we develop this or not? And it got whittled down to, I think it's at 13 songs right now.
Uh-huh.
So it's the best of the best that I had to offer.
Greatest hits album.
Yeah.
Last year.
So when you and Dylan get into the studio to start working through the songs, what does that look like? What do the two of you do?
Well, generally it starts with me sending that GarageBand track to him, and I'll give him a beats per minute. And so he'll have my acoustic and my voice and a structured song that he then imports and writes a drum track to. And so then when I go in there, the drums are already laid out, so the backbone of the song is there. And I play acoustic, we track acoustic, I track the vocals, and then it's in his hands, and it's really, really fun for me to go back into the studio and hear everything that he's added in. Because on these projects, except for the occasional guest artist, everything that you hear that's not rhythm acoustic is him. He plays the drums, he plays the bass, he plays the electric guitar, the piano, lap steel. It's like he's immensely talented, and it's really, really fun to go in there and hear these songs put together and come to life. It's like it's a really cool experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you guys have a creative partnership.
Oh, totally. It's been the greatest thing. We work really, really well together. I don't think there's been a time when I didn't like the work that Dylan had put into a song. He's always just gotten it. Like, he understands the music, he understands the lyrics and what I'm going for, and just does a tremendous job.
And it sounds like he's extremely giving of his...
Oh, he's completely generous. I absolutely would not be here without Dylan's help.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's got his own band and the recording studio.
He does, yeah. His house is his studio.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been tremendously generous. Like, I really wouldn't be this far without him. I'm really looking forward to releasing one called Little White Truck, and it's very country. It's very pop country, and it's going to be a blast to play live, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what people think. Because I've always loved country music, and it's what I grew up listening to mostly, and so it's been really fun in that way. It's probably, that song is probably the farthest departed from the rest of. I mean, sonically it sounds like a collective thing, but in terms of genre, like, it definitely is different from the other songs.
Does that is the song about you, or?
Yeah, it's a true story. There was one detail fabricated, which was, well, the story is about sneaking out of my parents' house, when I was younger, to go see a guy that I liked, and he didn't actually have a white pickup truck. He had a little silver Kia, but that's not as poetic. It doesn't fit the song as well to sing that. So, but it's a true song. It's a story from growing up.
I can't wait to hear it. Some of the songs I've read are, you've indicated they're about your husband.
Yeah.
So are they things that, as he listens to them, will he be surprised by some of the things?
Well, there's one song actually that he hasn't heard yet that I might play at a live show sometime. But most of the time I play those songs for him.
Yeah. And
I'll tell him that they're for him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he knows. Plus, if I write a song about someone, they'll know. Like, there's going to be details in there, whether I say something or not, that there's no mistaking. They would know.
Yeah. So, as you look out at 2014, you've got the album coming out. What are some of the things that you're looking at doing to promote it?
Well, I feel like I've played a lot of shows solo in the past, and I feel like the Ghost Runners, which is the band that's been backing me lately, they're really helpful in pushing this stuff forward, and they're really well connected with a lot of other artists and their family and friends and everything coming out to the show, and I've been really more focused on putting out like banners on Facebook and professionally done photos and posters for shows, and I've been working with Kevin Veach Design, and he's done some really, really great stuff that I think just takes that sort of promotional thing to another level. So
anything you had talked about doing some fundraising for the...
Definitely. That's going to be coming out when the video and the single drop January 2nd. I'll be doing an Indiegogo campaign for to cover the cost of recording, because it's a tough thing as an artist. It doesn't make much money to try and come up with a way to fund all of that. So I'm really hopeful for that. Yeah, so that January 2nd.